Blue Lock's U20 World Cup arc is about to complete its first game of the arc, and I've seen a lot of people having issues with it and think that the U20 World Cup arc is actually kinda mid. One of my buddies who is a very popular Blue Lock content creator, and Amasu, go check him out, he's made the case that Blue Lock feels very repetitive and it just doesn't feel as fresh anymore. That's kind of one way I would describe it. If you want his full take, you could probably just go ask him in his own comment section. I don't really have his exact answer off the top of my head, but he said that Blue Lock had been kind of mid-rate recently. It's been kind of ass. And I'm going to be honest, I can kind of see where he's coming from, especially with one of the more recent chapters. I think it was chapter 318, 319, and 320 have all felt very repetitive and like the story didn't really go anywhere. Concept of Blue Lock being so good because they are all striving for their own egotistical goals, the ideology that strikers are actually hunters who are actually heroes, and then Marine scoring his goal, those were all kind of retold key points of the story throughout those 3 chapters, aside from Marine scoring his goal, because you can't really repeat that. But I can kind of see where he's coming from with the repetitive part, because Onazi goes and says, oh, why is Blue Lock so strong? Because they are all striving for their own egotistical goals. And then when it's coming on to Marine, he's going to score his goal. He's like, wait, Blue Lock is all trying for their own egotistical goals? Like, you just realized this. Why is it that shocking to you? I don't understand that, because that was a point I didn't really get. And then when it comes to strikers being heroes or being hunters, it didn't really make sense because it was retold twice in chapter 319 and 320. Like, the same wording, same messaging was reused, and it didn't really further the ideological point of that concept, and it kind of just restated it again, which felt very redundant. It wasn't needed. The Nigeria's counter alone didn't really seem to matter. I mentioned that chapter 319 didn't really feel important because Nigeria, in and of themselves, didn't really generate anything. They countered, they got stopped by Blue Lock, and the ball ended up in the exact same position that it was at the beginning of the chapter, with Isagi having the ball and he and Rain working together. And if we check out chapter 320, we can see that they're at half field. So if you skipped over chapter 319, it wouldn't really matter that much. Especially with this latest chapter where Isagi is actually giving them some good advice on how to evolve and awaken, that their next play is going to feel like some actual substantial moments and actually feel worthy of a chapter. But chapter 319 didn't really feel like much. We got Gagamaru aura farming, but it's kind of all that was really like important or cool from that chapter. So when I say the U20 World Cup arc is redundant despite all of my claims, no, I think the arc is way too early into its serialization for us to decide that, and I think we have to wait until at least like the ending of France or England to decide this.